Most people think effort equals results, that if you try twice as hard, you get twice as far. But real life doesn't work like that. It's not linear. It's not one in, one out. In real life, only a small number of inputs create most of the outcomes. In finance, which is my area, they call it the Pareto law, or 80-20 rule. And it shows up everywhere you have a goal. 20% of people earn 80% of the money. 20% of relationships thrive, while 80% just survive. 20% of employees rise through the ranks, while 80% remain stuck. This isn't a mystery. This is mathematics. Success is not evenly distributed. Why? Because not all steps are equal. Some steps take you inches, while others take you miles. So to get ahead of 80% of people, what you need to do is stop treating your goals like they're fair and linear, and start looking for the 20% of things that drive 80% of the results. Look, most people stay stuck in what I call the 50-50 game. They think 50% of effort leads to 50% of rewards. They think effort and rewards rise and fall together, that life is some sort of balanced equation. But success doesn't follow a linear path. When you run the numbers of any field, you'll see that success is unevenly distributed. The 80-20 rule is everywhere. A small percentage of programs on Netflix get the majority of views. Same on YouTube. A small percentage of men and women attract the majority of people. A small percentage of workouts drives the majority of fitness gains. It doesn't matter where you look. When you're chasing goals, when you're chasing success, you are not playing a 50-50 game. Yet most people don't realize that they've bought into a hidden assumption that life is fair and balanced. That if you work as hard as the next guy, you'll get equal results. But this is categorically false. Think about your own goals and the amount of effort you've put into achieving them. You've played the linear game. We all have. Has it worked out as you thought it would? Probably not. The reality is that the rules of success are not written down. And if they're not written down, then people play the wrong ones. How can you win with rules that don't lead to winning? It's like playing chess with Monopoly rules. You're not just losing, you don't even know why. If you want different results, if you want to get ahead of 80% of people, then you need to play a different game. Better outcomes require smarter moves. The average person doubles down on what's not working. The outliers switch games entirely. Listen to this, because it's true that half the battle in achieving all your goals is realizing that you have to stop playing the game of effort and start playing the game of selection. 50% of the effort does not lead to 50% of the gains. Applied to the wrong tasks, it could lead to significantly less. Applied to the right tasks, it could lead to significantly more. It's not effort that decides, it's where that effort is applied that matters. But that's the crazy thing here. Most people don't know that there are tasks that are 100 times more impactful than others. They treat every task like it has equal weight. But the truth is that there's only a tiny number of actions that drive 80% of the results of any success. It's not about doing more, it's about finding the right move that changes everything. For example, you won't get rich by saving, but you will by investing. And automating your savings and automating your investing takes the exact same amount of time. Same effort, completely different results. You won't climb the ladder of your career by working on any task that comes your way. But if you apply the same time and effort to high-value tasks, now you become irreplaceable. Again, the same input, but disproportionate outcome. It's no different in relationships. You can show up every day for someone, but if you want to build deep and meaningful relationships, you need to show up in the right way, in the way that they need you. In all of these areas, money, career, relationships, and whatever other goals you have, there are 20% of actions that drive 80% of the results. And if you were to focus just on these, you would get ahead of 80% of people fast. It's that simple. Playing the 80-20 game is about choosing, not grinding. And look, the sooner you identify the 20% of actions for your specific goal, the farther ahead you'll be. The thing is that results compound, so each new result builds on the last, making the next one easier and faster than the one before. It's not addition, it's multiplication. It's not a step forward, it's a snowball rolling down a hill. It gathers speed and size with every turn. The gap between someone who focuses on the vital 20% of actions versus someone who focuses on everything is small at first. But after 3 months, 6 months, a year, the difference is gigantic and is difficult to ignore. Here's a real-life example to hammer this home. One day spent in the gym focusing on the 3 compound lifts that hit 80% of the muscle group is not just a day of progress. It sets off a compound effect. Each session from then on builds strength, making the next one easier and more effective. Over a month, this focused approach can deliver the strength, gains, and muscle mass that could take someone who is taking an unfocused approach 3 to 5 months. The advantage is cumulative, which means that every small win builds on the last. It's like compound interest. It creates momentum to be stronger and faster over time. Every high leverage action doesn't just move you forward, it builds a lasting advantage over time. It's not just progress, it's building a gap between you and everyone else, to the point that they have to work twice as hard just to catch up. So let me break it down. Here's exactly how you get ahead of 80% of the people in just 6 steps. First, you need a goal. So you need to set a goal, one that you really care about, one that you really want, one that you're going to be patient for, work hard for, sacrifice for. You can have more than one, but you need at least one. Make your goal as specific as you can. I want to be rich is not a goal. I want to set up a business selling apparel and make 1 million a year. That's a goal. I want to get fit is not a goal. I want to lose 15 pounds in 3 months. That's a goal. I want to be successful, also not a goal, but I want to be a product manager in a big tech company in the next 12 months. That's a goal. You get my point, that the more specific you can be about your goal, then the more tangible it is and how more obvious the steps will be to achieve it. Third step, make a list of all of the actions, the ideas, the habits, the sacrifices you have to make in order to achieve that goal. Make it an exhaustive list, everything you can think about. Even use AI to research if necessary. The fourth step, now that you have a massive list, you need to determine the effort level for each item on that list. Ask yourself, how much will it cost? Ask yourself, how long will it take? How much attention will it need? Do your best to quantify this as much as you possibly can. And when you're finished, write low or high effort next to each item on that list. Now, the fifth step is to determine the impact of each item on that list. Again, you want to be as specific as possible, and if you have to research, it's worth spending that time now because it will save you a hell of a lot of time later. Again, be as specific as you possibly can. If you're going to lose weight, then how much weight are you actually going to lose? 1 kilo, 2 kilos, 5 kilos? If you're going to make money, then how much money are you actually going to make? 5,000, 10,000? If your salary is going to jump, then how much percentage is it going to jump by? 2%, 8%. Be as specific as you possibly can. Now, when you're done checking each item on the list, what you need to do is write the words low impact or the words high impact next to each item on that list. Now you have a list of items, right, that has a low to high effort and low to high impact written next to each item. This is all you need for the last step. So the sixth and final step is to filter that list. Filter out the low effort, high impact items. These are your inputs to give you a disproportionate output. These are the 20% that drives 80% of your results. Now sacrifice time, money, attention, peace of mind to work on these high leverage tasks until you achieve your goal. And if you want, thank me later.